Never thought I'd see the day when water was worth more than gold out here in our little patch of Colorado. Seriously, picture this. First drop of rain in weeks smacks my dusty window, and I'm standing there, staring out at what used to be my pride and joy. Now it's just a muddy hole, a crater, really, where my pond once was. Yeah, that happened. And I'm Oliver Benson, by the way. Until 3 months ago, I was nobody special, just another stubborn old guy with dirt under his nails and 5 acres at the edge of Pinehurst Estates. Outside Denver. Bought my place long before anyone even dreamed up this HOA nonsense. Back then, all you heard was birdsong, not some board president's passive-aggressive emails. But let me back up a sec, because you gotta understand, my pond was special. Fed by a spring that had been bubbling up since before any of us were around. Kept my gardens lush, kept the birds happy. And it was the only thing that made me look forward to coming home after a long week wrangling construction projects in the city. Then came last April. I get home, and there's this neon pink notice stuck to my door, practically glowing in the dusk. Courtesy of Pamela Whitaker, the newly elected HOA president, who, I swear, could spot a blade of grass growing in the wrong direction from 2 counties away. The notice says, in the finest HOA legalese, that thanks to some municipal rezoning, my property is now part of the Pinehurst HOA. And guess what? I apparently owe them nearly $5,000 in back dues. I mean, come on. My property was here before Pinehurst was even a twinkle in some developer's eye. So I call up the HOA office, expecting it's just a mix-up. The receptionist is polite but stone cold. Mr. Benson, Mrs. Whitaker has been very clear. Boundary adjustment. Board vote. You should have received notification. Right? Sure. You know what I mean? That became the refrain. You should have received notification. Like the mailman's out there eating my letters. Next Saturday, I'm elbow deep in my garden when I hear tires crunching on gravel. Up rolls a silver Mercedes SUV, windows so dark I could see my own reflection. Out steps Pamela, looking like she's headed to close a deal on a Malibu mansion instead of my weedy driveway. Immaculate hair, pantsuit you could cut glass on, heels so high she almost broke an ankle on my lawn. She doesn't even look at the pond, just wrinkles her nose like the air's not up to her standards. Mr. Benson, I see you've ignored our notice. I tell her, real calm, I haven't ignored anything. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. Paperwork's in process, she says, but the board's vote was unanimous. And then, like it's an afterthought, she tosses out, that water feature needs to go. Not on the approved landscaping list. I actually laughed. Thought she was joking. But no. Unregulated water features are a liability. Breeding ground for mosquitoes, you know. Fill it in or face daily fines. She's got this look like she can already see me on a wanted poster for harboring a pond. That was my first taste of the new regime, and let me tell you, it soured quick. Turns out Pamela moved here from California, and she was determined to turn our rustic mountain outpost into a copy of her old Orange County cul-de-sac. And the letters, started rolling in. Threats, fines, more pink notices. I called up my old buddy Tom Riley, a real estate attorney who's seen enough HOA shenanigans to write a book. Ollie, they're overreaching, he tells me. Your deed says you're outside the HOA. They can't just suck you in. So, with Tom's blessing, I draft a letter, flat out refuse to pay, and figure, well, that's the end of it. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Early June, I'm out all day, back-to-back meetings, come home late, ready for a shower and a beer. Instead, I round the corner to my street, and it's lit up like a football game. Trucks everywhere, floodlights, and the rumble of some big piece of machinery echoing across my property. I slam on the brakes and see my worst nightmare. They're draining my pond. Big industrial pump, hoses snaking into tanker trucks, men in vests moving around like they own the place. And there's Pamela, front row, arms crossed, looking satisfied. I jump out, practically yelling. What the hell do you think you're doing? One guy steps back, says, just following orders, sir. We got permits. Pamela struts over, all confidence. Mr. Benson, the pond is a violation. Since you refused to act, the HOA has taken necessary action. I'm shaking, furious. You have no right. This is private property. She waves a document at me, some so-called court order. Maybe you should read your mail, Mr. Benson. I snatch it, but my hands are shaking too hard to read the fine print. Stop the pumps, I demand. She just smiles, ice cold, and says, operation's almost done anyway. And she's right. I watch, helpless, as my pond, my sanctuary, drains into the last tanker. The ducks scatter, the fish flop desperately in the muck. It's all gone in under an hour. Where's the water going? I ask, desperate. Properly disposed of, Pamela answers, not even blinking. Crater will be filled with clean dirt tomorrow. That night, I called everyone, Tom, the sheriff, the county. But by sunrise, the damage was done. Bulldozer rolled in, filled the hole. Nobody would look me in the eye. But here's the thing. My pond wasn't just decoration. It was a keystone in a whole underground spring system that fed wells all over Pinehurst. The HOA, blinded by rules and rose bushes, never bothered to find that out. A week passed. I sued the HOA with Tom's help, because you better believe I wasn't letting this slide. But legal stuff moves at the speed of molasses. Meanwhile, something weird happened. My well kept working. In fact, water pressure got better. Then Barbara Vaughn, my neighbor, sweet lady, always worried, knocks on my door. Oliver, you having water trouble? She asks. No, why? Our pressure's dropping. Other folks too. I pour her a glass of clear, cold water. She sips, grateful. It all started after, she hesitates. After they drained your pond. That night, I start connecting the dots. I'm up late, buried in geological maps. Turns out, my pond's spring percolated down through layers of rock, recharging the aquifer that filled the community wells. When they filled my pond and rerouted the spring, the water just ran off, straight out of the system. Within days, Pinehurst turned into a real-life dust bowl. First the tap slowed to a trickle, then came the yellow, rusty water, then nothing. HOA panics, calls an emergency meeting. I'm not invited, obviously, but Barbara is texting me updates like she's running a spy network. Pamela blaming county. People furious. Water trucks coming tomorrow. Someone brought up your pond. Pamela shut them down. Next morning, a county hydrogeologist named Craig Daniels knocks at my door. Big guy, sensible boots, not easily rattled. Heard there used to be a pond here, he says. I show him around, explain the whole mess. He pokes around, takes soil samples, shakes his head. This was a seep pond, a window into the aquifer. Taking it out messed up the natural recharge. He points out the new erosion channels. Water's still flowing, just not where it's supposed to. The wells below are drying up. Tom's giddy when I tell him. This is water rights now, not just property rights. Whole different battlefield, Ollie. Within weeks, Pinehurst looks like a war zone. Tanker trucks lining the park, people queued up for rationed water. County declares a state of emergency. My well keeps running. I help Barbara and a few others quietly, but I keep my head down. Nobody needs to know the pond guy is sitting on the last working tap. HOA starts falling apart. First board member quits after his car gets egged. Treasurer leaves after her yard's buried in empty bottles. But Pamela? Still there, makeup melting, hair flat, acting like she's leading a NASA mission. Then, plot twist, she shows up at my door with two strangers in tow. Mr. Benson, the HOA is prepared to drop all claims if you'll share your well. I nearly choke. That's quite a change, Mrs. Whitaker. She barely blinks. The situation has evolved. I tell her my well isn't enough for 50 homes, and even if it was, I wouldn't trust the HOA with a watering can. The men try to pressure me, compensation, contracts, all that. I just tell them, we're suing you. Maybe try fixing the mess you made. They threaten eminent domain. I call Tom. Can they take my well? Not a chance, he says. Not after they caused this. Then the real fireworks start. It's July, 95 degrees every day, tempers flaring. I hear shouting down by Pamela's mansion. There's a crowd, everyone yelling, and, no joke, her sprinklers turn on, watering her flower beds in the middle of a crisis. People snap. They're stomping on sprinklers, trying to catch water in buckets. Pamela disappears inside as the sheriff arrives. Later, Barbara calls, practically vibrating with excitement. They found a hidden water tank, huge, buried under her garage. She filled it up before the pond was drained, been using it for landscaping. Next day, the state rolls in with investigators. Turns out the water in Pamela's tank is from my pond. Those tanker trucks didn't dispose of the water, they brought it straight to her stash. Worse, an environmental impact report she'd hidden said destroying my pond would kill the aquifer. And the court order she'd waved in my face? Forged. By August, she's facing criminal charges: water theft, forgery, mischief. Civil suit expands. Her emails show she just wanted my swamp gone so her house would sell for more. Meanwhile, the HOA votes her out. Barbara is named interim president and comes by, tears in her eyes. We're restoring the pond, oh well. It'll take time, but Craig says the spring's still there. The whole community, insurance in tow, funds the project. Autumn spectacular in Colorado, golden aspens, crisp mornings. Experts remove the filled dirt, hunt for the spring, and, bless them, they find it. Water trickles in, pond starts to refill. Wildlife comes back like they'd been waiting at the edge of the woods. My pond's alive again. Meanwhile, Barbara organizes water deliveries. Neighbors help neighbors, and I'm sharing my well as much as I can. Pamela? She's found guilty. Probation, restitution, banned from any HOA work. Her mansion sells at a loss. The money goes to cover damages, legal fees, and, of course, my new pond liner. As winter sets in, things settle. Wells come back to life. Pinehurst, once a bunch of strangers, is suddenly a real community. At the January meeting, Barbara lays down new rules. Board can't act alone. All studies must be public. And there's a new water conservation committee. People clap, really clap. It's a new era. She walks me home in the snow, says, "Thank you for helping," even when the rules said you didn't have to. I just shrug. Neighbors help neighbors, even if the map says otherwise. We laugh, standing there, watching ducks glide across a half-frozen pond. Come spring, the pond's back. Barbara throws a picnic, educational signs, kids releasing fish, a plaque marking Benson Pond Nature Preserve. Whole community comes out, celebrating water like it's a miracle. And you know what? Maybe it is. Because in the end, we learn something. Water doesn't care about property lines or HOA rules. It finds its own path, connects us all, and if you're smart, you work with it, not against it. The state even passes new laws, inspired by our story. They could have just asked me, I mutter. Water finds its way. So, here I am, a couple years on. The pond's thriving, the ducks are back, and Pinehurst is known across Colorado for its water smarts. Barbara still invites me to HOA meetings. I still politely decline. Some things never change. But when new families walk the trail past the pond, reading the signs, telling their kids about the time the water ran out, I think about everything we almost lost. About Pamela, so set on perfect lawns she missed the real treasure under her nose. About the neighbors who came together. About how, in the end, water and a little stubbornness brought justice. So tell me, after hearing my story, what do you think? Where's the line between personal rights and community good? Would you have fought like I did, or just filled in the pond and moved on? I'd love to hear your thoughts, your stories about standing up for what's right, or times when maybe, just maybe, the system worked out after all. Drop a comment, join the debate, and let's talk about what justice really means. Out here, where water's worth more than gold.